Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Dragon Ball Super God of Destruction Vegeta Saga. And the last time we left off, we talked about how Omni Goku was finally gaining enough intelligence as he faced off against both Zenith and God of Destruction Vegeta and asked the big question at the end of the chapter: which one of you is stronger? And that's where part 6 of our What If series left off. Definitely check out the rest of the parts if you need more context. Those will be linked down below and on the screen. Though for now, let's move on. Goku's first few words since his inception struck a sense of fascination in Zenith, and Vegeta couldn't help but feel challenged at this point. Even so, it was but the start of what was to come next. Will the balance be maintained, or will the multiverse enter a new age now? The man at the center of the stage, Omni Goku, couldn't care less about such trivialities. He had only managed to usurp a mere fraction of Goku's own consciousness, and yet the man was already looking for a stronger opponent. Vegeta faces him and casually states, "Why don't you come and test it out, Kakarot? Which one of us is stronger?" Omni Goku simply thought that this statement is referring to Zenith and Vegeta himself. However, it had another meaning. It was about which one of them is stronger, Omni Goku or Omega Vegeta. Meanwhile, as this battle reaches a new peak, Gohan goes and interrupts Piccolo's training. He tells him that they have to get a move on now and he can just learn instant transmission later. This frustrates Piccolo a little because he felt as if he was almost on the verge of figuring it out before getting interrupted. They bid Dende farewell and get ready to be teleported to New Namek together with Whis. Even Goten and Trunks try tagging along but get told off by Gohan because if Majin Buu or Oob were to go rogue once again, no one would be able to put them back in their place. As he said this, he pointed towards Majin Buu, who had been looking up at the sky the entire time, while Oob on the other hand repeatedly goes through intense migraine attacks and he's being treated by Dende. This creates a momentary pause as Goten and Trunks reminisce about the time where they trained in the hyperbolic time chamber to defeat Super Buu. Piccolo was having the same thoughts and couldn't help but feel enthralled by how much the two of them have grown since then. Now, they can entrust the planet to Goten and Trunks and be sure that they'll keep it safe no problem. So, as the two of them choose to spar a little bit at the lookout, Gohan and Piccolo get themselves teleported to New Namek. The organic life seems lively, but there's tension in the air here. Furthermore, no Namekian can be seen anywhere for some reason. It's all too quiet and Piccolo has a strange feeling about this. "Well then, I'll be taking my leave," Whis states. Now that he's carried out Vegeta's command, he's supposed to go back to the scene at once. Gohan thanks him for his help and Whis gets back. Piccolo stays somewhat silent for a while as they both stroll around through the land and then says, "This way, Gohan," and so they both fly towards a certain direction now. Back at the scene of the battlefield, when Whis returns, he sees a bizarre yet somewhat complicated situation happening. Both Goku and Vegeta are currently trying to deal any type of damage to this mysterious yet hollow presence, but Zenith isn't budging. So what exactly happened here? Well, when Vegeta provoked Omni Goku to test them both for himself, he flips and simultaneously launches energy bombs on both of them. Vegeta gracefully dodges, but the attack simply bypasses through Zenith yet again. This piques Goku's curiosity and he lets out a barrage of energy blasts. Some of them are imbued with his erasing ki, some of them aren't. And following this barrage, he also unleashes a brutal Kamehameha. Also, he could get Zenith to just move slightly. Vegeta would be amused by Goku's enthusiasm and decided to join in with a final flash of his own. He positions himself in the same line as Goku and Zenith and unleashes a massive final flash so that both the final flash and Kamehameha collide at one singular point of impact, and that point would be Zenith's current coordinates. Goku was basically just relying on sheer power to see if he could damage Zenith at all, but Vegeta was being clever with his approach. He was gradually changing the wavelength of the energy in his final flash, and not only that, he also proceeds to follow Goku's approach and adds Hakai Ki, until finally, the man decides to go all out and instinctively uses some of his newfound Omega Ki. Neither Goku nor Vegeta had any idea about this, but the moment this Omega Ki comes into contact with a little bit of the Omni Ki that Goku had imbued in his Kamehameha, things implode. Ordinarily, Vegeta would have had to find his way around the attack by either dodging it completely or letting it out in the higher dimensions. Only this time, the point of contact happens right inside Zenith's apparent body. It's momentary at best and instantaneous at worst, but it creates this polarizing effect where the clash of energies let out a sinister looking color before completely disappearing into oblivion. The next moment, we see Zenith suffering a massive blow at the impact point. This intrigues Vegeta and Goku so much that they proceed to jump onto Zenith like one jumps onto a buffet and start trying to figure out how they managed to hurt the guy finally. And that was when Whis appeared at the scene. Though if you were still worried about the prior attack, as for that clash, it did trigger a silent ripple effect throughout the universe, the waves of which could also be experienced in those higher dimensions. The ripples were harmless to more or less everyone in the universe except Zenith, who was the target of those energy blasts to begin with. Zenith takes a moment to understand exactly what just happened here and then bestows a massive blow across Omni Goku's face. All he did was take his fist and punch him, but the impact was astronomical and even took Vegeta off guard. Just what's up with this individual, Vegeta says to himself. Omni Goku, on the other hand, was sent flying into space before him. Even though he was conscious, he was having trouble trying to stop himself from getting swept away. So he improvises in the moment and uses Kamehameha in the opposite direction to first stop his body and then propel himself to the opposite way with it. It was definitely no secret that at this point, Omni Goku had become a full-fledged fighter. He returns back to the scene but comes across a rather unexpected sight this time. Vegeta has grabbed Zenith's arm, his purple aura raging, and he himself appears to be in complete control of the entire situation. Now tell me, who are you? Vegeta asks as he gets annoyed once again. Only this time he expects that answer. Otherwise, he has no opposition to just ripping off Zenith's arms himself. Well, an interesting one, aren't you? I was trying to resolve this matter peacefully and have the new Omni King accompany me, but guess you leave me no choice, Zenith firmly replies to Vegeta's question, and this is when he begins to gain some semblance of physical existence finally. First, he strikes a strong blow on Vegeta's hand and sets himself loose, then proceeds to exhibit finely tuned attacks on all of Vegeta's weak points. Vegeta swiftly dodges them, of course, and then returns the favor by landing one brutal punch in Zenith's gut, exactly where he suffered damage previously. I asked you, who are you? Stall any longer and you'll be losing a limb for every minute, Vegeta warned Zenith. He was absolutely losing his patience by this point. Omni Goku, on the other hand, saw how Zenith just suffered some damage once more. This excited the guy, and just when Zenith was about to say something to Vegeta, Omni Goku dashes right in at lightning speed and lands a kick right in his gut. And that kick from Omni Goku would make it absolutely impossible for Zenith to go on any longer holding in that fart. So he let it out. Or maybe he was just faking. Zenith tanks the attack and tries to punch Goku across the face once more, but Goku instinctively dodges it. However, he does get kicked in the nuts. Omni Goku definitely felt that one, but uses it as a learning experience because that one did hurt. Subsequently, Vegeta was getting angry in the corner because Goku had just interrupted their conversation as he was finally getting somewhere with this guy. So he vents out his frustration by unleashing a final flash at Goku this time. This fight was going absolutely nowhere at this point, but right when Goku comes out of bearing the weight of that final flash, someone else enters the battle. Enraged Broly has finally arrived. As he blazes across the battlefield, both Broly and Goku begin to call out each other's names and welcome each other with a massive punch. What the hell is going on? Zenith comments. I thought Amarok was taking care of this guy. Whis and Vegeta had noticed, however, that this was the first time Omni Goku had called someone else's name. And this is when Vegeta turns his attention to Whis, asking, do you think this is a good sign at all? Well, it's supposed to be, right? Whis says, being once again ambiguous with his explanation. As for Zenith, he was beginning to get outnumbered here. All of you descendants of Yamoshi are really troublesome, you know that? You guys really leave me no choice, Zenith says this and blitzes Goku. Vegeta knew he was going after Goku's body, judging from his earlier statements, and so he appears right in front of Zenith, actively stopping him from reaching Goku. While Goku and Broly exchange blows like wild beasts right now, they are absolutely going in. Listen, God of Destruction, I don't want to get involved with any of you guys yet. Just buzz off, it's all for the sake of a better tomorrow, Zenith tries to gaslight Vegeta with. Even if the multiverse itself was on the verge of destruction and the only way to stop it was by killing Kakarot, I myself would be the one to get that job done, so stop this nonsense and answer my question from before. Vegeta retaliates again, and following this taunt, Zenith finally gives in. Oh, fine then, I'll tell you. I'm the older brother of the man you refer to as Zeno, and the one who was originally supposed to be the Omni King. This sends an absolute shockwave through the entire battlefield as Vegeta's body goes cold, so he can only reply, "What?" as he's taken aback. "You are still alive?" Whis asks, just as shocked. "Of course. I wonder if your father still misses me," Zenith responds. Meanwhile, Piccolo and Gohan reach a shrine. Looks like this is where all of the Namekians are at the current moment. Both of them enter inside and witness some serious discussion going on here. The Namekians notice and greet Piccolo and Gohan with a warm welcome as the Grand Elder Mori himself stands up and properly greets Piccolo, asking how his brother Dende has been doing, to which Piccolo tells him that they really could not have asked for a better guardian. Anyways, Piccolo gets straight to the point with, "What I came here to ask is if I can see the Old Testament of the Namekian Book of Legends." Hearing this, Mori just sighs for a second and then takes them inside to a completely enclosed vicinity. Right in front of them is an ancient scripture. "I assume Dende must have already told you about it, Piccolo. Your concern is justified. History as we know it is happening right now, at this very moment," Mori firmly states. Piccolo quickly asks, "What exactly do you mean?" "Well, look closely at this scripture. What do you see?" Piccolo takes a look and instantly gets taken aback. The scripture was alive and writing itself. Everything that was happening with Omni Goku was being written into it in real time. Piccolo tries reading it, but he can't. It's not the same language as the actual Namekian Book of Legends. "Well, how are we even supposed to read this?" Piccolo lashes out. Meanwhile, back at the scene, Zenith has revealed his true identity, and he wasn't going to chill around here any longer and had to apprehend Goku fast. Consequently, this is when both Amarok and Karada also arrive soon after Broly. "Wait, what? Didn't I knock that guy unconscious before?" Amarok says, getting confused at the sight of Broly here again, looking just fine. "This is an interesting universe, isn't it?" Karada chips in after his comment. "Oh, finally here, are we? Alright, time to subjugate the targets," then it says, finally getting serious this time. As for Vegeta, things just keep getting more and more annoying. Meanwhile, in a different part of the universe, Frieza had learned from his defeat and was now able to be more fine-tuned with his instincts. He was getting gradually closer and closer to the true potential of his new Platinum form. Though as much as he wants to go have another shot at any of those Saiyan monkeys, Frieza had decided to be more cautious with his approach this time, and so the man once again continues his training, at least for the foreseeable future. Going back to New Namek now, we have Piccolo and Gohan who seem to be unable to read those scriptures still. Unfortunately, even Grand Elder Mori can't, so they're kinda just stuck right now. This is when Mori actually gets a pretty bright idea though, suggesting that they use the Dragon Balls as they had gathered them just recently in light of all of the events taking place. And so, just like that, Porunga is summoned. Piccolo asks him to translate the scripture and explains what's happening with Goku right now. Porunga tells them that he can only grant one wish at a time, so is it the translation of the scripture or an explanation on what's happening with Goku that they would like first? Piccolo was about to ask for the explanation when he suddenly pauses for a second and recalls how limited the information Shenron was able to give them was. This leads to Piccolo deciding to ask Porunga to simply translate the chapter on the Omni King in the Old Testament. "Very well then," Porunga states, and then he proceeds to tell the origin of the Omni King. The multiverse is a sentient existence. It perpetually grows and evolves, and yet, it was this growth that was causing the balance of the multiverse to bumble. Some of it had to go. There was this fundamental need for a perfect balance, and that's when a special power was born. It was the power of the Omni King. an ability to completely annihilate reality from existence, but for it to be harnessed, an individual must have obtained the highest conceivable levels of strength. They should have an ignorant, childlike mind so that the destruction is random and isn't a result of some specific propaganda. And lastly, that individual must not neglect any universe. Over time, the first Omni King decided to appoint a god of destruction to each universe to make sure that no universe would be neglected. A transcended warrior dubbed as an angel is also tasked to accompany each of these gods of destruction. The same goes for the Omni King himself. His angel gained the moniker the Grand Priest. Both Gohan and Piccolo, as well as the rest of the Namekians, are just listening so closely to Porunga right now as he drops lore bomb after lore bomb until finally he mentions the passage on what's happening to Goku. However, he continues, the flow of time takes precedence. Whenever there is a need for the multiverse to enter a new age, a new Omni King is born. It just so happens that now is that time. There is no telling, Porunga continues. Universe 7 may very well experience another name change. It would be the second time after the Dragon God Zalama created the Super Dragon Balls. Now that Porunga had explained what he needed to and was awaiting their second wish, what could Piccolo possibly wish for now, as time seems to be not only running short for God of Destruction Omega Vegeta, but Omni Goku as well, as Zenith and the rest of the Universe 12 warriors have appeared to take him captive.